Welcome back to the Coaching from My Wheelchair podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay, and today we're diving deep into a deliciously intriguing topic. We're calling it Let Them Eat Brioche, the importance of empathy and understanding, uncovering those blind spots. Because, let's face it, sometimes we're all a little too caught up in our own version of reality. We assume, we overlook, and the next thing you know, we're handing out brioche when all someone needed was a slice of bread or maybe just someone to listen. In this thought-provoking and relatable episode of Coaching from My Wheelchair, we explore how the infamous phrase, let them eat cake, or more accurately, brioche, serves as a metaphor for the emotional and psychological disconnect that can happen in leadership, relationships, and everyday life. We'll unpack the historical backstory of the phrase and how it illustrates dangerous blind spots, the difference between empathy and sympathy, how emotional blind spots form in leadership and personal relationships, real-life coaching examples, coaching tools to help you, the listeners, recognize and overcome your own blind spots. And I would answer some frequently asked questions about emotional energy, effectiveness, and whether empathy can actually be learned. So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and let's eat some cake. Or maybe brioche. You decide. Let's start with a quick history lesson, but don't worry, no pop quiz after. Now, many of you might know the phrase, let them eat brioche, loosely translated, let them eat cake, famously attributed to Marie Antoinette during the French Revolution. But plot twist, it likely wasn't her. It actually came from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and he said brioche, not cake, which is a much richer, more luxurious bread, very similar to the croissants and Hawaiian bread rolls that we eat. Either way, it wasn't flattering. But here's what mattered. The quote captured the vast disconnect between the French aristocracy and the ordinary people. They were struggling with famine, poverty, and backbreaking labor, and the supposed solution was brioche? That's like telling someone who can't pay rent to, just buy a house. Yeah? No. This isn't just a quaint history tale. It's a powerful metaphor for what happens when we, as leaders, partners, friends, or heck, just as humans fail to understand the reality of someone else's experience. Whether at work, home, or in relationships, blind spots can sneak up on all of us. So, what exactly are we talking about here? Let's talk honestly here, friends. Have you ever been in a meeting where leadership sets targets that feel like they're plucked from Fantasyland? I see heads nodding. I feel you through the airwaves. Leaders, managers, parents, and even friends often fail to see the realities others are facing. They're baking brioche when people around them just need plain bread. Let's break down some key aspects. Let's look at empathy versus sympathy. Empathy says, I feel with you. Sympathy says, oh, poor you. One connects, the other distances. Now, about our emotional blind spots. We all have them. Places where we just don't see others clearly, maybe due to privilege, past trauma, culture, or assumptions we don't even know we're making. And for those of you in leadership roles, let's think about assumptive leadership. In organizations, leaders often assume they know what's best without listening. Deadlines get made from a comfy leather chair, not the factory floor. Then they wonder why morale is lower than a limbo stick at a limbo championship. Years ago, I was coaching a senior executive, we'll call him Mark. Mark was genuinely baffled about why morale was plummeting in his department. He insisted, we're giving them everything they could want. Turns out, Mark's team didn't want gourmet coffee machines or monthly bowling nights. They wanted manageable workloads and appreciation for their contributions. Mark, bless his well-intentioned heart, had been baking brioche while his team desperately needed regular bread sometimes. We must remind ourselves, empathy isn't just listening, it's understanding. It's setting aside our assumptions to see what's genuinely needed. We've all encountered this disconnect, right? Think about times you've witnessed leaders, or even ourselves, unintentionally overlooking others' actual needs. Imagine, as leaders, parents, or partners, baking brioche when plain bread is desperately needed. Let me share a personal coaching example. I once coached a bright, energetic executive named Hannah. Hannah believed she was doing everything right: expensive training programs, luxurious office equipment, catered lunches. Yet, her team was exhausted, demoralized, and productivity plummeted. After conversations grounded in empathy, Hannah learned that what her team really wanted was clear communication, realistic goals, and a simple acknowledgement of their hard work. Sometimes, Our good intentions can blind us to what's genuinely needed. Empathy helps uncover those blind spots. All right, let's zoom in on our personal lives. Ever had a fight with your partner or best friend where you thought, why are they so sensitive? Yeah, that's a blind spot, my friend. I once told a loved one, trying to be helpful, you just need to be more positive. That's Brioche level advice. What they needed was space to grieve, not a motivational quote from Pinterest. Empathy in relationships is about showing up, shutting up, and tuning in. It's not about fixing, it's about understanding. Empathy is just as essential in our personal lives as in our professional ones. A frequent blind spot we all face is assuming we already know what others feel or need. Spoiler alert, we're often wrong. Consider this. A client of mine, Sarah, had a strained relationship with her spouse because she assumed he felt overwhelmed by their busy family life. Her way of helping was scheduling downtime and canceling social events, thinking that was what he wanted. It turns out he was actually craving more connection, not less. Sarah's empathy blind spot almost cost her a deeper relationship until we worked on active listening and genuine empathy. Empathy means asking, hey, how are you feeling? How can I help? Rather than guessing or assuming. Blind spots aren't limited to workplaces. They deeply affect our personal relationships too. Empathy bridges gaps created by assumptions. I recall a client who wanted to develop a stronger bond with his teenage daughter. He assumed buying her trendy clothes or the latest phone was the way to her heart. It turns out she just wanted time to talk openly with her dad. A simple afternoon walk and chat transformed their relationship completely. Alex learned empathy meant understanding her real emotional needs rather than guessing. All right, folks, enough theory. Let's get practical. How do you uncover your blind spots? Here's your bread, your practical everyday tips. No brioche here. Tip 1. Ask for feedback regularly. Yes, it can feel uncomfortable, but feedback gives you valuable perspectives. Tip 2. Observe nonverbal cues. People's eyes, posture, and even tone of voice often speak louder than their words. Tip 3. Practice active empathy. Regularly imagine yourself in someone else's shoes, especially when conflicts or misunderstandings arise. Tip 4. Ask better questions. Try, what do you need right now? Or, what's been hard for you lately? Tip 5. Assume nothing. Be curious about everything. Curiosity is empathy's secret twin. Lead with it. Tip 6. Pause your perspective. What feels logical to you might feel impossible to someone else. Breathe. Refrain. Now here's a little secret. I regularly check in with myself, and believe me, even coaches have blind spots. Just last week, I confidently gave advice to a close friend about balancing work and personal life. Later, she gently reminded me, Jay, you realize you were emailing me at midnight, right? Talk about practicing what you preach. Empathy is ongoing, it's a practice, not perfection. Personally, I've had to remind myself repeatedly to pause and listen fully. Even life coaches can bake the wrong loaf sometimes. All right, here are some frequently asked questions. How do I stay empathetic when dealing with someone very difficult? Great question. Empathy doesn't mean you agree or accept poor behavior. It's about understanding the motivations behind behaviors and responding thoughtfully. Can too much empathy become harmful? Yes, empathy without boundaries can exhaust you. Healthy empathy balances understanding others with respecting your own emotional well-being. How can I show empathy if I'm dealing with someone difficult or resistant? Great question. Empathy doesn't mean tolerating poor behavior. It means striving to understand the reasons behind their behavior. Sometimes, just acknowledging someone's feelings can diffuse resistance. Can you be overly empathetic? Absolutely. Empathy without boundaries can lead to emotional burnout. Balance empathy with healthy boundaries. Empathy doesn't mean you must solve everyone's problems. It means understanding, not necessarily fixing. Isn't it exhausting to always be empathetic? Yes and no. Empathy isn't about absorbing everyone's pain. It's about acknowledging it. It's a muscle, not a martyrdom. What if someone doesn't want empathy, they just want results? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Empathy doesn't slow you down, it aligns your goals with real needs. Can empathy be taught? 100% yes. It starts with awareness and grows through action. You're not born with blind spots, but you can uncover them. Here's a tidbit for you. Empathy isn't just a skill, it's a daily practice. Here's how you can nurture empathy consistently. Daily reflection. Set aside 5 minutes daily to reflect on interactions. Were you truly present and empathetic? Empathy journaling. Writing briefly about situations can uncover hidden insights. Mindfulness exercises. Mindfulness helps you stay grounded and responsive rather than reactive. Here are some of my final thoughts. Today's conversation really brings to mind an important life truth. Brioche is tasty, but bread is essential. Don't let empathy become a luxury you occasionally indulge in. Make it your daily bread. Whether you're leading teams, nurturing friendships, or strengthening relationships, developing empathy is like a superpower. It's your best tool for uncovering blind spots and truly connecting with others. Remember, nobody ever mastered empathy overnight. Give yourself grace, stay open-hearted, and let genuine understanding lead your interactions. Before we close today, I invite you to pause for a moment. Ask yourself, whose perspective have you perhaps overlooked recently? Where can empathy serve you better today? So here's my challenge for you this week. Notice where you might be offering brioche when someone just needs bread. Where are your assumptions getting in the way of understanding? Is it in a relationship, at work, or maybe even the way you speak to yourself? Empathy isn't just a nice to have. It's foundational for a real connection, for leadership, for love. And you don't need a fancy title or perfect words to practice it. Just show up, be human, ask better questions. Remember, even from a wheelchair, we can all stand up for empathy. We can all see beyond our blind spots. So today, reflect. Whose viewpoint have you overlooked lately? How can empathy enrich your connections? Thank you for joining me on this episode of Coaching from My Wheelchair. If you found value in today's discussion, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might benefit. Until next time, keep rolling forward with empathy and kindness. This is Coach Jay reminding you to stay educated, stay informed, and learn something new.
You can also buy a copy of Coach Jay's book, Coaching from My Wheelchair: Tips, Tidbits, Tools, and Strategies for Improving Your Personal and Professional Self-Development, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can also connect with him on social media, on Instagram at TWCCSLLC, and you can also find him on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and through his website at therightcoachingservices.com/podcasts.
Thanks for tuning in, and remember to stay educated, stay informed, and learn something new. Until next time, this is Coach Jay.